There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the welcome and orientation for our virtual winter conference. Do you guys see the slides now? Just checking.
Not yet, no.
Not yet. I'm gonna hit share again and maybe it'll work this time.
There you go.
Wonderful. Good.
Yep, you're up.
Okay. Now I'm looking the wrong direction because the slides are on the wrong slide. So, all right, welcome everybody. And we'll get started. And as I was just commenting, we will be sending out these slides and they'll be available on our website immediately. They're actually on the website now under the registration tab, and the recording will be posted there as well. So we have a pretty fast agenda today. We'll be going through how to access the portal, some NCCHC history, what NCCHC has to offer your facilities, a closer look at our services, and a little Q&A. Jump in anytime in the chat and we'll be monitoring the Q&A. With me today, oops, not the poll yet. With me today, I have Rich Forbes, who's our Vice President of Program Development, and Matissa Salmons, who is our Vice President of Certification. Since we get so many questions and such interest in the CCHP program, we have brought the expert here to you today. So we will get started. I'm going to try to launch a poll, and just to see who's in the chat with us, if this is your first NCCHC program, let's see where the poll controls are. If you can see that, you may not be able to see. Oh, there we go.
It's up.
Just so we know how to, kind of format our presentation for you today. We have, I don't know if you can see the responses, 2 yeses to our first timers and 5 no's. So anything you're bored with, just go ahead and keep doing your work and we'll come back to it. But do jump in on the chat and ask your questions whenever you have them. So thanks for joining us today. Oh, see, I forgot to hit share results. There you go. And I'm going back to here. Okay. So what you're here for today is just a little bit on the platform, and we're going to talk about the event information. Stop sharing. Go away. Hopefully it did.
Looks like it's gone. Yep.
Great, thank you. You can't really see what you can see. So confusing on Zoom. If you want to see what will be happening during the event, you can check the conference sessions page of the event website, which is ncchc.org/virtual-winter-conference. As you'll see, that during the conference, there'll be at least three, sometimes 4 topics going on at any one time, and you're free to choose whichever ones you want. If you'd like to keep track on the website, it's all there for you under conference sessions. If you prefer to have a printout that you can look at and take notes on, the final program has now been posted. So it's available as a link through this slide, and it's also on the registration page of the event. So you can take a look at it there. If you are looking for CE through APA, those sessions are indicated with an asterisk. If you are looking for NASW slides, CE, those are indicated with the little circle 1 next to the presentation name. So that will keep you going for the type of certificate you can get. All the other types of professions, ACCME, ANCC, and the general certification certificate, you can attend any of the sessions that you're interested in. Gotta hit page down again, and perhaps it will go page down. There we go. If you like to take notes on the presentations, all of the presentation slides have been uploaded to your my.ncchc.org account. And if you log in, you will see them there under the left side navigation, and it will say Virtual Winter 2024. So just download the ones you're interested in, and you can keep them on your screen as a PDF or print them out, whatever works for you. So that's all available to you, and those should be up for at least 6 months for you. We do suggest before the conference starts on Wednesday morning, just so you don't miss anything, that you do the test session, because sometimes people have firewalls, and I know especially for our friends at Centurion, you may want to use your own home computer if you are lucky enough to not be working in a facility or on the Centurion network, because there does seem to be some incompatibility with our sessions. There is a test session that's been loaded for you. It's not going to be 100% exactly like how the conference will run, but that should give you a feel to know whether or not you're going to have a firewall or security issue. I can assure you that the program works. So if it's not working, please do contact your IT department. After you do check to make sure, use Chrome as your browser, use a desktop computer. If those things are working for you, you're not using a VPN, go ahead and contact your IT department. You will need to log in. So it will be the same email that you were registered with, and it may or may not be the same password that you use in your my.ncchc.org account. If you have any concerns, you haven't been on one of our virtual events or at one of our events using our app, go ahead and just click to reset your password. That will send you out an immediate email, and you can reset the password to any item that you need. If you have any trouble with that, just contact us. My email is actually the return email on the confirmation that you're receiving, or you can contact us at info@ncchc.org, and we will reset your password from our end. So don't, spend too much time trying to make that work if you're having problems with it or if you don't see the email. So where do you go? You're going to go onto the event website, and there's, as of this morning, there's a link called Live Event. And when you click on the Live Event link, you'll be going down into the sessions. Each session becomes available at the time shown on the agenda that is in Central Time. So you are able to change that time zone to your own time zone if that makes things easier for you. As a check, right now in Central Time, it's 1:38 p.m. So you can calculate your own time, there for you. As you enter, the session has already started at exactly the time shown on the agenda. So you're kind of coming in midstream as though you're walking into a real conference session. If you miss too much of it, you can always go back immediately after the session starts. The recording will be available and you'll be able to watch it. Switch from session to session if you're not getting what you need, but we do hope that the session will be helpful to you and that you will stick around. I just want to stay on the screen one more second. When you're in the session, there will be a chat on the bottom or the right of the screen. Please take a moment to introduce yourself. Many of the speakers are participating, and they'll just sit there quietly if you like, but if you do have questions, you can ask them in the chat. If they're not available, we will forward the questions to them. And please do feel free to interact with your colleagues who are on the call as well. If you have information about this topic that you'd like to share or things that have bothered you, all of our sessions are really drawn from the types of challenges that people in facilities and agencies are facing. So we want you to get the most out of your participation. The number one question that we get asked is how to claim your CE after the session, after the conference. So you have 6 months, but don't wait that long because you will have forgotten to do it. So go ahead and in the left nav again, under your my.ncchc.org account, you'll go under claim my CE credit and you'll click go to link, and that will help you go through the questionnaire that you need to fill out. You'll rate the sessions that you attended, and you'll be able to save or print out your certificate. And that's always available for you, the certificate, once you're finished. And that record is always available to you in your NCCHC record. So I may have gone through that a little quickly. Are there questions on the chat? And I see there is one.
Yeah, Kim, I was going to respond, but I didn't. I'm not sure what the plan was. If you were doing the post-presentation Zoom like we've done in the past, or how you're doing that.
No, we're not able to because of the size of this conference. So
Right.
yes, if you're the presenter, there's no need to have your mic on. You won't be verbal at all. It'll all be done through the chat. So thank you, Andrea, for asking, and thank you, I'm assuming, for presenting too. So please go ahead and continue to put those questions in the chat, and I'm going to turn it over to Richard and Matisa, and you guys can just let me know when you want the slide moved ahead, and I will do that, and I'll be monitoring our attendees in our chat room.
Great. Thanks, Kim. And they just had a question about the courses counting towards CME. I believe all of them are counting towards CME in this one, correct?
Everything counts towards ACCME credit. And if you're a social worker, there's the sessions that are indicated with the Circle 1. And if you are a NASW for NASW is the Circle 1. And mental health for APA is the asterisk session. So we do get a lot of them, but not all of them for those particular disciplines. Anybody else, you can have any of the sessions that you like.
Emily, I assume that was toward the ACCME you were asking, correct?
If not, just go ahead and put it in the chat again.
All right, and then I'll go ahead and start in. So thanks, Kim, for the intro on this. And then we're going to go into real quick, just kind of discuss the origins of the NCCHC. If you're not familiar, it'll be very brief, and we'll talk about some of our other services as well. So most know this, but the American Medical Association was actually where the NCCHC was born. Prior to 1983, the standards themselves and the accreditation program that's currently managed by NCCHC was actually overseen by the American Medical Association under a program organized in the mid-70s. They had done a study in conjunction with the American Bar Association. The attorneys and doctors got together. They found inadequate healthcare, disorganized health services, lack of national standards. They were all contributing to subpar care. What's interesting is we were all very familiar with the 1976 Supreme Court case with Estelle v. Gamble, which established that constitutional right to healthcare. The American Medical Association and the American Bar Association were actually working on this program a few years before that ruling came out. They had actually started doing some of the pilot accreditations the same year that Estelle v. Gamble happened. So they were actually proactive and on top of that before it happened. Over those next few years leading up to the establishment of NCCHC, that program maintained, they continued to grow it. They added prisons. They started looking at juvenile as well. And then in '83, the nonprofit was established with NCCHC, and it was turned over by the American Medical Association, who remains involved with our governing organizations today. The NCCHC standards are that foundation of everything. They support the rights. They support the rights to care the Constitution has established. And they're that framework to ensure your system, your policies, your operations, everything are in line with the nationally recognized standards and best practices. For those of you aware, our standards right now are all 2018 versions for the prisons and jails. I believe it's 15 for the mental health and around 15 or 16 for the opioid treatment. We will be having updates come out over the next 12 months plus. You're going to see those all updated with the new standards and revised standards. So moving on to the next one. Sorry, Kim, I saw you switched and I kind of got wordy there. So we look at what NCCHC programs we offer. We're going to talk about all these briefly today. Starting with our standards, which is the foundation of everything the organization does. That's where we establish that benchmark, that concrete foundation for everything that we do. And how we measure our things when we're out doing, whether it's an accreditation or consulting services, our certification programs, whatever we're doing, even the foundation, obviously. And of course, our education and conferences, as you're here today and preparing to attend, everything that we do is based on that foundation with our standards. We'll go into our different programs here next. I'll go ahead and skip forward, Kim, instead of dragging that out. So we'll start with the standards. I think everybody's very familiar with the standards, and I've kind of talked about that. We'll move on to the next part. If you want to get more information, we have some resources here, and you'll have the copy of this presentation as well. If you need to get a copy from our bookstore, if you want to look at position statements, some of our other publications as well, we have the Journal of Correctional Healthcare. We have certain pre-conference seminars, and then on-demand webinars also available on our website as components of education and our standards that tie into those. We can go to the next one, Kim. Our 5 different accreditation programs. We have our health services in jails and prisons, I mentioned earlier. Our juvenile detention and confinement, that was our most recent one. It shows the older version on this graphic, but the current version is the 2022 version. And then we have, of course, our mental health, which is more specialized, more focused program, looking at the mental health services in particular. Those of you familiar with our standards already, you know the jails and prisons have components of mental health already enclosed. And of course, opiate treatment programs, we're the only organization that's an accrediting body for jails, prisons, and juvenile facilities in the country. And we work in conjunction with SAMHSA and getting your SAMHSA certification as part of that team process. But we are that accrediting body. So if you did establish a formal OTP in your facility where you're administering and dispensing methadone, there you will be accredited with our organization as well as certified by SAMHSA. Okay, we can go to the next one, Kim, thanks. Okay, and then our accreditations probably are best known. product. That's probably primarily what we're known as an accrediting body, a national accrediting body. That's that confirmation you're meeting national standards. We're looking at that system when we go in. I am a surveyor. I go out on these jobs. We're making sure the healthcare is well managed. It's meeting those standards. It's efficient, effective. You're timely when you're doing that delivery of care. And of course, the underlying premise of the accreditation is that reduction of risk. I am a former jail commander in my prior life before coming to NCCHC, and we were accredited my whole career. And I can tell you that is very real, that it does help with your liability. It helps with judgments and prevent those unfavorable judgments by being accredited, as long as your folks are doing what we're supposed to do and that system is operating the way it's supposed to operate. And we are going to have adverse outcomes. I mean, it's just one of those parts of operating a jail. It's a very difficult environment. Our highest honor, our past conference, we had a couple of facilities end up getting the Pinnacle Awards. Pinnacle Award is when a facility is accredited in all of our programs. That would be your health services, your mental health services, and your opioid treatment program in your facility. And that is something that's been growing pretty exponentially over the last year and a half, with facilities actually out there seeking all three and accomplishing that. There is more information you can get on accreditation. If you're a current client of accreditation and you have an inquiry, you actually go directly to accreditation for that. But if you're brand new and you're just looking for information, please reach out to me and I'll be able to help you with that as far as getting basic information, quotes, that kind of information. We're also recruiting. We're looking for surveyors, whether it's a general surveyor, physicians, if you're involved with mental health, other health services, or OTP. We are looking for those experts to become surveyors with the organization. Wendy Habert is our director of accreditation. You can contact her directly if you're interested in looking at that. But we are recruiting actively. Tell a friend, please, because we need some help. So, all right. And next here, we're going to get into Matisse's shop. Matisse, it's all you.
Thanks so much, Rich. I'm just going to speak briefly about our certification program. You heard Rich talk about what accreditation does for facilities. Certification does hopefully the same for individual professionals, in that we test on your knowledge of our healthcare standards. Next slide. We actually pioneered our corrections-oriented certification 34 years ago, almost 35, and we have the largest certification program in correctional healthcare. That's the CCHP. About 4,400 individuals currently certified, and as mentioned, it shows the mastery of your national standards and the knowledge expected of leaders in this field. In addition to our what I call our baseline certification, we offer advanced and specialty certifications. So we have specialty certifications for QMHPs as defined in the mental health standards, as well as one for RNs and one for clinical providers. So that's our docs, NPs, and PAs. And we have advanced certification for both seasoned professionals and those on their way. I never want anyone to read seasoned professionals and assume that this has to be like toward the end of your career, or you have to, you know, write a library of books and papers and contribute in that way. As long as you are doing things and on your way, you know, you are welcome to apply, and you can always reach out to us if you have any questions about whether or not you're ready for advanced. But what I will say is what all of these have in common is you first have to start with the base CCHP certification. And to keep it short and sweet, I can give you, I speak on this for an hour, and at our conferences, typically an hour isn't enough. So I could talk to you pretty much all day on it, but for keeping this webinar short, I will tell you there is a plethora of information on our website. I included a direct link to complete your application. There's a link to look at the different testing options. Most commonly, people test at our in-person conferences, as well as our testing partner, Prometric, who operates many testing sites throughout the country. There is a link for your CCHP study materials. You will be tested on jail, prison, and juvenile, there's enough overlap between jail and prison that you don't need to purchase both. You can, but it is absolutely okay to just do one or the other. And we have those packages through that link. In addition, we offer review sessions that are a shortened version of what we offer at our spring and fall conferences on the standards. And the one for CCHP specifically is just fine-tuned a little bit more than for a general audience. It really is intended for those taking the exam. They've been completely helpful to people and very successful. And I have to update the stats. That's one of my end of year goals. But last we checked the efficacy rate on taking a review session and then taking the exam. It was about, I want to say, between a 96 and a 98% passing rate. It was extraordinarily high. Those review sessions, of course, aren't meant to be kind of like the standalone answer to everything. However, in conjunction with independent study of the standards, I think it helps the absorption of the material, especially because you can listen to those once purchased as often as you like. And a little kind of cheat that somebody told me during a session once was that the person listened to it on their way to work and back home from work, and it made them kind of in the right mindset when going to work, really help them absorb the information, have a lot of confidence on the exam. If there are any questions you have, please feel free to use the chat, or you could always email us after at cchp@ncchc.org.
Awesome. I will say this, Matissa and her team are awesome getting back and getting you those answers if you have them. So don't hesitate to reach out to them if you have questions on the processes or anything else. Thanks, Matissa. Appreciate you being here too. All right, so we'll move on to education and meetings, which is something you're participating in now. Our conferences, if you have not been, we have 3 in-person conferences and, of course, a couple of virtual conferences throughout the year. Basically, the amount of programming, the topics, just the networking opportunities that are there are probably one of the biggest get-togethers, I would say, in our field of correctional healthcare. The feedback we constantly get is that people's depth and breadth of knowledge are so expanded when they attend. You know, what tends to happen with us when we're in the field, no matter what side you're on, custody, medical, anywhere in between, support services, is we think we're in a silo. We think we're dealing with the same challenges over and over again. We think we're dealing with the same issues. When you get to these conferences and you hear some of your peers talking, you get that chance to network, you realize, you know what, you're not alone. There's a lot of resources out there to lean on. Our organization being the biggest because of the educational opportunities, the materials, the information that we put out. Just the fact you're here and starting to get through this. And I saw there's only a couple of new ones this time attending this seminar, the webinar rather. You're going to find that throughout that year, the more you reach out, the more you look, is the more amount of information we have that is really specific to what you do. And I think that's the value that NCCHC brings to all of this. And we also do training with NCCHC Resources, which are consulting. It's our consulting affiliate. They also offer that training where we can come out and we can do certain training on your site. If there's something specific you're looking for, that's something we do on top of the education. For example, if you're looking at a suicide prevention program, crisis intervention training, things like that, we actually have those abilities to come out and do that training with you. And Matissa didn't really touch on it, but it's on the site, is if you're going to do a group testing, for example, you have a bunch of people that want to do CCHP. We can actually come out, we can do the in-depth standards class for your group, and then we can actually host that test on your training site at your location. And that's something that can be arranged through her group. You can reach out to them and ask questions about how that works. But those are the kind of services we actually offer as an organization on top of what you see out there just with the big conferences we discuss. We can go to the next one, Kim. Our conference attendees, these are a general breakdown. This is kind of just general numbers, and I think we're going to do a little poll here real quick in a minute and kind of see who is who in the group today. I know we have a very small group. Sometimes we have up to 100 in these webinars, so it's pretty interesting. But Kim, we can probably go ahead and run the poll and kind of see who's here.
You think we can run the poll?
We might be able to just do hands up. It's only a few.
One more time.
There it is.
That's the first timer. I can't get
Oh,
rid
that's the
of
first
it.
timer. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. What's your job?
Oh, there we go. Now it's up. Yep. Yeah, so primarily it's people working in the field, and it looks like we have a quality assurance person here as well, which is interesting. It's great that you're actually here for that. I think it's important. But yeah, good little mix even with the smaller group. So that's
That's
typically
big
what we see.
three, the medical, the nursing, and the mental health. So that's
That's the big
we
ones. That's
expected.
typical.
Yep.
Very good. All right. Thanks for participating in that. So next slide here for more information about education meetings. If you have questions, our upcoming events are posted on our website. We do have our three big ones this year, are in-person ones I mentioned. The spring conference will be in Louisville, April 5th through 8th. We have San Francisco for mental health. That's the mental health specific conference. Of course, our national conference is the big one. That'll be in Baltimore this year, November 1st through the 5th. There's also a link there for our recorded webinars. If you're interested in looking at the type of materials that are out there, maybe you want to do something for your folks at your facility without having to travel. We have several different topics there. And if you have any general questions, you can always contact our education section directly. We also have something here. It may not apply to you. It doesn't look like with this audience, but exhibition and sponsorship info is also available through our sales department, and the web address is there to be able to contact them. All right. So the foundation, you may or may not have heard of the foundation. If you've been going to the conferences over the last year or so, the foundation has really kind of stepped up with some of the things they're doing with auctions and giveaways for donations, things like that. But this is our not-for-profit. It's a separate arm of our organization under our umbrella, where basically their mission is to be out there and championing the correctional healthcare field. So if you've been to our conferences, you're going to hear a lot about scholarship recipients primarily. They're folks that the foundation is sponsoring to come out to a conference. They're generally new within the field. They're students. They're trying to basically learn about the field. We get them out there and get them to a conference so they can network, meet some of the peers, and kind of develop within the that subset of medical care with the correctional healthcare, as it is very specialized. A big one we're going to be looking at, you're going to be hearing a lot more of starting next year, is reentry. When we start talking about patient reentry into the community, you're going to be seeing some stuff that NCCHC gets involved in with that reentry element, including development of a toolkit potentially for a national level. That'll be a free resource. This is going to be down the road, but something we're looking to do to help with that continuity of care. Because as we all know, no matter what side you come from, that's one of your big challenges, is when you put a lot of effort into getting somebody squared away. They're on their medications, they're getting their treatment, they're getting their counseling, and then they get out to the community, and there's even with a handoff, there's a lack of that continuity, and you tend to see recidivism as a result of that. That's something we're passionate about trying to help reduce on a national level, and you're going to see that. Juvenile reentry has been a priority, and that continues to be. And then the workforce development does drive into the scholarships, but we've also done some different things. If you have not seen our page, for example, we have a job board up now where there's actually job postings, and people can go on there and look for career changes potentially, or just looking for a different place they want to work. We're hosting that, and that's really just starting to grow. But some really cool things that we've been doing and trying to get the foundation up and more involved, because they've only been around for a couple of years and they're still growing at this point. Next slide, we actually have some information on contributing. There's a website there. We actually are matching donations up until the end of the year for any donations. So the organization ourselves, we're going to be putting that money in. You donate 100, we're doubling that donation to make it 200. We are also looking for volunteers. There was an email that went out recently, if you're on our email list, looking at things for committees, whether it's reentry, reviewing scholarship applications, surveys, mentors. There's lots of opportunities there if you want to kind of expand what you're doing in the field and helping that next generation. Our website's there to link the foundation, and the info email is there as well if you have any questions or comments or just want to get involved. Or if you didn't get that email, they can get that over to you and send you that info. All right, next one.
Yeah, just to clarify what Rich
go ahead,
said,
Kim.
NCCHC is a not-for-profit as well, but the foundation is our arm that can accept donations and charitable contributions.
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate that. Could have clarified that better, probably. All right. All right, next, NCCHC Resources. This is our affiliate that does our consulting. They do technical assistance services. They will do system assessments. But basically, as with everything our organization does, the standards themselves are the foundation of what we do. So they are going in strictly to look at a consulting approach from the healthcare and from the standards as the guidance on that, so we can make some objective measurements and provide feedback to those that bring us in, to look at their operations, to look at their issues they're dealing with. That way we can get them a report and help them by using experts that are consultants to get to where they need to be. The teams of experts, we always, just like with if you've ever been through a survey, we're going to have a clinician, we're going to have leads, we're going to have people that specialize. In this case, you might have somebody who's from custody, you might have somebody who's from mental health, depending on what the problem is or what the challenge is that we're coming in to look at. But NRI is our abbreviation for NCCHC Resources. They are the ones that come in and do that work. And the next slide actually kind of breaks down some of the specialties that we do with some sample projects. A big one that's been lately that we've been asked about is when you're dealing with contractors, the RFP development, monitoring, and contract development as well. That has been a big one that's been kind of emerging because of the complexity out there that everybody's dealing with the RFPs. It's gotten more and more drilled down, more and more specialized with the issues we're dealing with, whether it's a couple 100-bed jail or a 10,000-bed jail. We also offer that independent monitoring. There's evaluations of the system, whether it's just a 30,000-foot view of your system to make sure it's efficient, whether we're looking at certain issues or certain operational areas, anywhere in between. We offer that. The training I mentioned earlier, and I won't go into that, but we do a bunch of different training as well that we offer through NRI. So for more information from them, you can learn more about them through the website and the services. If you have any inquiries, though, for something new and you're not a current client, you can reach out to me directly and I can get you the information. What I do is I'll meet with you. I'll get a scope of work together on what you're looking to do, and we'll present you with a written scope of work and a quote for those services. But if you just want general information and just want to talk, you can do that as well. And feel free to reach out to me. If you're a current client and you have any follow-up questions, of course, you can contact them at their info email as well. My contact information there, if you want to get started with whatever we offer here as a service at the organization, feel free to reach out to me directly as well. That's where my position comes in, what I do day to day when I'm not out doing surveys or doing consulting work or at a conference. That's what I do. So feel free to reach out to me directly as well. I appreciate your time. Thanks for attending, and have fun at the virtual conference.
Great. Just to add on, the copy of the slides will be, you can't click here, but I guess the slide doesn't make a lot of sense, but when this goes out, you will have your copy of the slides. So that's available for you, and a copy of this recording. And I think just because in interest of time, we'll just move you along. So here's some contact information if you'd want to follow up on anything. We appreciate your being here. If you want to stick around and ask some questions in the chat, that's great. And if not, we will see you on Wednesday with the virtual conference. So thank you.
Awesome. And Kim, I did put the link for those slides in the chat. If anybody wanted to click that directly, you should be able to download them now.
Thank you.
You bet. And it is working. So
Always nice when that works.
got to check that.
Yes. Cool.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for attending, everybody. Have a good one and enjoy the conference.